we host a 30-minute hour podcast. When we first interviewed her back in 2019, this was an idea that she had started from her kitchen table, Play Pitts deodorant. But then she moved the needle to the point where now her brand is featured on the shelves of Target across America. And she has been interviewed by Gayle King recently on CBS This Morning. So please join me in welcoming Chantel Powell to the What Now Movement Summit as our first presenter. And at this point, I'm going to turn things over to Maisha to ask the first question.
Good morning.
Good morning, and congratulations to all of that success. This is so wonderful to see. So, of course, my first question is, how do you feel about being in Target? Because we call those ladies you talked about on CBS America was all those fancy ladies. So we call it Target. How do you feel about being in Target and having your product on selling nationally?
Well, I think for me, it was one of those things that I wanted from the beginning, but it was so hard to imagine how to even get noticed, right? I'm making product in my kitchen, but I want to be on Target shelves. So, to go from that and to be where I'm at now, it feels surreal. And I tell people, I don't take any of it for granted because I know all the steps and all the work and the tears and the hard days and the good days that got me here. So I just feel grateful. And it feels surreal.
So excellent. Go ahead, Ted.
So we talk about the beginning, right?
Hold on, I brought my glasses.
That's right.
Because I'm being serious.
That's right. That's why I got my glasses. That's why I got my glasses on. There's no giggles when I got my glasses on. It's all game face. So when we talk about the beginning, right? For those that don't know the story, right? The beginning, right? It's a phenomenal story. Can you give them a quick overview of your journey?
Okay, I'm gonna do it. And listen, there's how many podcasts do we have on the podcast now? 3? I'm 2 or 3.
We got
okay.
3. We got three podcasts.
All right, so if you want to hear the full story, go listen to all 3, but I'm gonna give you quick. Play Pitts was created. My son at 6 smelled like a man, and I wasn't having it. I didn't want a smelly kid. I didn't want my child to be self-conscious, and so I went to make a product because I couldn't find anything on the market. From that, Cameron loved what I made him so much. He told me to make it for everyone. I told him no. He pushed me. And I listened to my child. And so from that moment, I dedicated my last almost 5 years to this product and this mission and this business. And we've went from literally making product in my kitchen to now a 2,500 square foot facility in Atlanta. So, my journey has been so full in so many things, but the real thing that I think is the highlight of my journey is I've utilized my community, my village, my friends and family. And I've used this business to be an example for my children. And as an entrepreneur, you have to work hard, be consistent, and be dedicated. And so, that's kind of like a brief story.
Yeah. Because when you talk about, the whole theme of what this is all about, moving the needle, you're a serious example of moving the needle, right? I'm sure there were all type of, barriers and things that you had to move through and things that you didn't know anything about and just had to figure it out of how you were going to move from point A to point Z, and you did it very quickly.
Yeah. Could you talk about one of those move the needle moments in your business?
I would say one of the things that moved the needle was going from my house to my warehouse. And Ted was instrumental in that because what I called Ted almost a year before we did that. And so part of me you moving the needle was utilizing my village, right? So I have a network of amazing people, smart people, right? that I can kind of pull on and get advice and talk to, and they can mentor me through all these things. I've never done this in my life. I dress people for a living, right? My career was to dress people, make people look amazing, tell stories on TV. So that's my background. I've never been the CEO of a deodorant company, but I have people who are experts in these different areas, and I've been able to kind of pull from them and ask advice. So the warehouse was that needle moment for us, because we had got to the point where I wanted a warehouse because I thought I needed one. But thankfully, I had people like Ted, and I had people like Unique Jones that was able to tell me, like, nah, sis, sit down, wait, not yet. You're not ready. And so I use that information and I listen. I feel like a lot of times people in business, they hard-headed and they stubborn. You want to do what you want to do, but you really don't want to listen to the people who have already done it, right? And I've learned now, because I've been hard-headed, and Ted will tell you, him and my husband, they cackle all the time about I'm a little hard-headed, but that's because I'm headstrong, but I'm not stupid, right? And so I listen to people that I respect and that I admire, and I allow them to kind of craft my path, right? But I also have my gut that I listen to as well. So it's that balance of gut and, advisement that kind of helped me move the needle to get to the warehouse. And I'm grateful that I listen, because it's expensive as hell to have a warehouse.
One thing I will say first about moving the needle, you got to definitely in your mind, have that mindset, I'm going to move the needle. And one thing about Chantel is when she sets her mind on something, like it's there, and so, but that's the key, but she's going to do whatever it takes to make it happen. The warehouse, it happened, right? Getting on the shelves, the Target, it happened. Tell that example, that situation when you went to Target, because I love that story.
Which one?
Two. The first one, when you was visualizing it, right?
Right.
Oh.
And then the second part I want you to talk about is when you bumped into some people that were looking for your product. I think those are very inspirational stories.
Yeah. So, like Ted said, like, I'm a person, when I get that goal locked in, then I become obsessed with the steps that it takes to get to the goal, right? And my work ethic is like, you can't outwork me. And I believe in that. Like, it's people that's smarter than me, it's people that know more, got more money, all that, right? But one thing you're not going to do is outwork me. And so I know that's my strength. And so one thing I would do when, Play Fits was a product, became a thing, and I had it in my hand, I would put my Play Fits in my purse and drive to Target and I would put my product on the shelves, and I would take pictures, and I would look at my product amongst my competitors. And at the time I was I was a nobody, right? So, but I still looked at them as competitors, because what I was doing was seeing how my brand shows up in the mass market. I wanted to see, does my packaging pop? Do I look different? Do I stand, so I use that as my, one of my first things that I did to feel like, to determine, am I doing enough? And so from that, I was like, okay, I need to tweak my labels. I need to make some changes. And so I would go into, since the creation of Play Fits, there's not one time I have walked into a Target store and did not go into the deodorant section. I would go into, and so sometimes I would take my product and sometimes I wouldn't. But the days that I would take my product, I would just pop it in the shelf, and I would stand back and I would take a picture, and then I would grab the deodorant, put it in my purse, go shop and do what I was doing. And so Ted was saying that, I wasn't scared of security. And I think I didn't even think, I wasn't scared of nothing, because what you gonna come up to? I'm gonna tell you this, my product, and one day I'm gonna be here. So you have to be, you have to be crazy, and not super crazy, but you have to be crazy enough to believe in your vision, that you can see it where everybody else can't. So that was that. And then we launch, right? So the day comes, March 6th, 2022, we launch in Target. And I'm like going to the Targets to see my product because I want to see my product in the Target. And then I'm going to the stores that don't have play pits as well, right? And so I happen to go into a store and I see this lady and she's like in the deodorant aisle. And so I was like, hey, how you doing? And she was like, and she had a daughter. So now, like, I gotta shoot my shot. She in the deodorant aisle at Target. She got a daughter. She a Black woman. So I'm like, hi, have you ever heard of play pits? Like, I turned into a whole salesperson. And this lady turns to me and she was like, the Black deodorant, that's what I'm looking for. And I literally like could have fell out in that store because my heart was so overwhelmed, because while I'm still in that hustle mindset of like, everybody I touch, I gotta tell them about my product. You know, like I was the girl selling deodorant out my trunk. So to now go into a store like Target and talk to a random lady and her daughter, and she say, I'm looking for your product. That was something that, you know, no words could really describe that feeling, but it was definitely one of those things like, okay, you did it. Like you moved the needle to go from nothing to like a brand that's sought after in a store like Target. So, yeah.
Yeah, I
I
thought
have
that story.
goosebumps. I actually have goosebumps from that story. That is so awesome. So did you go to Target or did Target find you? Where was the meeting of the minds there?
So originally, see all my stories, one day I'm gonna do a book, one day I'm gonna do a documentary, because I've recorded this whole process, like from the day that it was nothing all the way up to now. I've always recorded, but I wanted to go into Target, but didn't know how to get there. But little opportunities like seeds and whatever would be dropped, and so I would take advantage of it. So in Atlanta, there was a holiday market put on by Essence. Target was a sponsor. So when I get there, I'm, you know, popping up. Little did I know Target's corporate team was there. So Target's corporate team there, and they're walking around talking to vendors because, you know, they do a good job at supporting Black businesses. So they're at this Black event to just get to know about different businesses. So I meet three of the reps, one buyer from another category. And so we talk and kind of chop it up. And so they leave some information with me, and, you know, that was that. They then reach out a few months later and invite me to their Black History event they did in Minnesota at their headquarters. And so they're like, the layout of the day is, you know, it was a workshop, it was educational. What does it take to get on the shelves? And then you can showcase your brand for your buyer. So I was like, okay, me and my husband, we get on the plane, we go there. I'm so excited to meet the team at Target and really my buyer. Y'all, I go there. I'm all excited. We just spent all this money. I don't meet the buyer. The buyer don't show up. Nobody from the buyer's team shows up. And I'm like, damn, that sucks. But it was that moment that I said, and it was a few other things that had happened during that time. And I said, you know what? I'm sick of begging people to work with me. I'm sick of begging people to pay me some attention, because I'm in a category that's deodorant. Like, usually, like, I'm the only random Black girl that's making deodorant. Everybody's making hair products, body products, you know, all types of other things. And here it is, I'm making deodorant, and I'm kind of like looked over because it's like, I don't know what that is. But I got frustrated and I said, you know what? I'm gonna do excellent work. They gonna notice. And so fast forward, March 2021. Y'all still see me?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We got you, girl.
March 2021. So this was 2020. So a whole year happens. The pandemic hits. George Floyd, you know, paying attention to Black businesses and all that. So now, like, things for us is crazy. 21, I get a customer service form that is from a buyer at Target. So Target ended up coming to me and wanting to learn and work with Play Pits. And so I tell that story because I went chasing it, but then it hit a road where I was like, you know what? I'm sick of chasing. I'm going to just keep working. I'm going to have my head down and I'm going to be great and I'm going to do great work. They'll pay attention. And so now people paying attention.
So, that story is just amazing. And I think, I have a saying, I say, you can either wait for something to happen or you can make it happen. Chantel makes it happen, right? Like if you really about this entrepreneur life, like you really need to hear this story. Like, if you think it's going to be put in front of you, people going to open doors, welcoming arms and all that. Now you got to kick the door in. Like that's the mindset when you're talking about moving the needle. Are you really about this entrepreneur life? And what do you need to do to move it to the next level? I mean, from a marketing standpoint, I mean, it not a minute was going by that I didn't see something popping up, some type of video, some on Instagram or Facebook, and you was doing all you could with the marketing budget you had. Because right, people, when you go back to money, right, everybody's like, okay, well, I don't have the money to go out here and put this big banner on the side of a bus or a TV commercial or whatever. But you don't need that, right? You got to be innovative, and talk a little bit about your innovation, how you make things happen, how you're getting the name out there.
Yeah, so when I didn't have any money, like I I didn't start this business with this chunk of change, like $5,000, even $1,000. I literally started Play Pits pinching $50 to $100 off of my day job to invest into ingredients to start testing. Then while I was testing, I was then learning a lot of the things that I needed to know to run a business, but couldn't afford to pay nobody to do it. So I had to do it myself. So like my website, I built myself. I learned that on YouTube, set up my own Shopify store. I would go on Fiverr and, connect with graphic designers to help me curate things for $5. Like, so I literally had no money. So when you talk about marketing in the beginning, like you saw me on social media, on IG and Facebook, because that's free. It's free to post. Like, let me just post here's my kids. We're at this event. Like, I had to do that because I didn't have no marketing budget. And so when people talk about them not having money to start a business, somebody like me, I can't relate. Like, I can relate you don't have money, but I can't relate on why you can't still do what you need to do to progress in this business, because I literally started with no money. I probably, the first 9 months of Play Pits, I probably was able to invest $3,000 to $3,500 over a 9-month period. And then once Play Pits started making money, I tell people this all the time, she was on her own. So once she started making money, I stopped penny pinching off my check, but then I would just take the money and reinvest it in the business. So I was flipping money. I was focused on, if I make $100, all right, let me put that $100 back in, make $200. And so I did that at a point where I didn't pay myself for 2 years. And like, I didn't pay myself $50, $20. Play Pits would have an amazing day, like an amazing sales day, a pop-up. We would make $5,000, like we was making money, and we would leave that event and I'd be like, babe, you want to pay for dinner? Because I don't have any money. The business has money, but I don't. And so, I think it takes that level of sacrifice, that level of discipline, to really be able to scale a business with no money, but it's possible.
Something you just hit on, I think there's a difference between the entrepreneur mindset and that employee mindset, right? And I think sometimes people, that employee mindset is I work all this time, I got to get I get my check,
Yep.
Where my check, right? Where my check? It's been 2 weeks, where my check? That entrepreneur mindset is, okay, I done worked, but now I'm focused on the business. I'm focused on growing the business. I'm focusing on, making things happen here. So I may not get my, check, for my work right then. And you had to sacrifice that. You had to forego that.
And I was fortunate. Because I have an amazing husband who was able to help support me. But even when I think about when I was working, like I was making money. Like I had my own money, but I covered my bills, and Play Pits would make their money, and I wouldn't pull from Play Pits because I knew that I needed the business to grow. My product is only $11, and I have a natural product that is premium ingredients. So my margins Like, they not crazy. You know, I'm not the girl that's making $15, you know, profit once my product sells. So, you know, it takes a lot of money. Like, I remember calculating and being like, for me to make $1,000, I gotta sell over 100 deodorants. Like, for somebody that's pouring a deodorant hand by hand, 100 deodorants seems crazy. But you know, I went into this not really for the money, but for the purpose, for the mission, for curing kids' funky underarms. So because that mission was I was so passionate about it, you know, I think that's what I focused on. And the money eventually came. But that wasn't really my focus. I wasn't focused on the money. I was focusing on not smelling my child.
What I love about your story, what I love about moms and mompreneurs is we always find that niche, right? So I know you talk about it in the interviews, but tell our people how you went from a smelly son to play pits, because that's a need that we all have. I have been there when I've had my son and his friends in the car, and I'm like, oh my God, y'all stink so bad. Yeah. So talk a little bit about that. And then do you have plans for future products to help our smelly children smell better?
So I think, you know, I had got to the point where I read this book called Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. The Big Magic, okay? I don't know if I'm saying her name right, but she's the author of Eat, Pray, Love. And so in this book, she talks about creativity, and she personifies creativity as a moving thing, right? And so she talks about when you have an idea, how you have to honor that idea, feed it, nurture it, and grow it. And so when I had just literally finished that book in 2017, like the beginning of 2017. So then here it is, I'm living my life or whatever. And Cam has this smelly day. What really kind of did it was the fact that I could not find anything. Like, and then the stuff that I didn't want an antiperspirant because I didn't want toxic ingredients. But then when I went looking for natural, everything was so boring, so adult, like super crunchy, and like, ugh, like I don't want to use that. Like, so my kid not even want to use this. So I wanted something fun. And me being a creative, I'm like, I could freak some deodorant. Like, I could make the packaging, I could make I saw it because I know that I'm very like, I don't know, I think a little different. So I was like, if I was to do something like this, I know it would pop. And so I really focused on the kid thing because the adults already had a bunch of boring, crunchy products, right? So I was like, they don't need nothing. These babies need something that moms can trust. Moms can feel like, oh, this, I won't even question, is this safe? Is this whatever? We eliminating those questions. This is for your kid. We gonna make it so the kids are begging for it. The kids want it. So I think that's really why I focused on the kid thing. And that is really what made me stand apart in the industry. It also created challenges because everybody's like, do kids even need deodorant? You know, like, do kids, like, how old, you know, and I was out the gate, I had customers as young as 2 years old because these babies are experiencing body odor because of the food, because of our environment. So times are changing. When I started wearing deodorant, I probably was like 13, 14. But these kids, they 2, 6, 4, and 8. And so what does a mother, you know, what do you do as a mom when you have a smelly kid? Do you just let the kid be smelly and be like, go wash up when you get home? No, they need some deodorant. And so that's how I created it. And I focused on that. And so, you know, when I think about new products and I think about what's next, our mission is to take over the bathroom. Like, we're going to take over the kids' bathroom. We're going to take it over for the entire family. We're the one-stop shop for the entire family when it comes to healthy hygiene. And so absolutely, I'm working on new products and, you know, keeping it fun and exciting and something people look forward to using.
So one thing that you just hit on was, you know, the new products, right? There's products that you have for the adults, right? I don't want people to just only know.
Oh yeah,
because you're trying to take them. You're trying to keep people fresh for life.
So I'm gonna tell you how we got there, because the parents were buying the kids deodorant, using it themselves, and then coming back like, hey girl, so I didn't even give Tyrone that deodorant. I actually used it myself and I love this so much. Can I buy another one for me? And so these parents were like buying it for the kids, but then and I do the same thing. Like, I remember my Cameron was a newborn baby. I wouldn't let him eat anything if I didn't taste it. And so that's what moms and parents do, right? Like, you're going to try something before you give it to your kids. It's like, let me make sure it's not poisonous. Like, if any of us going to go out, it's going to be me, not my baby, because it's your baby. So parents were doing that, loving it, and then buying up the deodorant for the kids for themselves. So for one Christmas, I did a limited edition. I was like, let me give these parents something so they stop talking. Merry Christmas, parents. Thanks for, buying for your kids and yourselves. I'm going to give y'all a little cute something. That deodorant sold out in days, like literally like 2 days. Then I brought it back. It sold out in hours. Then I said, all right, I'm not even thinking about these parents no more. They a distraction, right? And I because I wanted to just focus on the kids. I received an email, a text message, a DM, a phone call, some type of communication every day from that moment up until I made that product full time, because people were like, when you bring a king back, when you bring a queen back, when you bringing this back, like, it just got overwhelming. I'm like, oh my God, okay, I guess I gotta. But what I realized is that I thought everybody was happy with all that natural deodorant on the shelves, for all that super crunchy, boring, deodorant that wasn't for my kid. I thought they was cool with that. But what I realized is these natural deodorant companies, one, they weren't marketing to Black people. They didn't think that we would pay a premium price for a product. Two, they wasn't interested in telling us about the health risks and issues with antiperspirants, and they really didn't even see us as their customer. So here it is. I'm offering education. I'm offering a product that is effective. And then because people going to use the natural deodorants that's on the market and they're not effective because they're putting it on at 8 a.m. and by lunchtime, they smell like a donkey. And so it's like, they at their desk and they're like, oh God, I smell. So people stopped using natural deodorant until Play Pits came about. So, I gave the parents something, and now that's how we became the one-stop shop for the family, because I realized that the product that I created is actually something that's amazing for everyone, all ages. And so that's now our mission. But originally I was focused on the babies. I was like, y'all adults, y'all good. Y'all don't need me.
So you have gone from your kitchen making some deodorant for your son to now the deodorant evangelist.
They call me the deodorant queen.
Deodorant queen. That is amazing.
Well, it's good to be queen of something, right?
Listen, if you're gonna be queen of something, you could be queen of anything. You could be a pioneer of the most randomest things. And I tell this story because my daughter, she was 13 so we're at college orientation right now. But when we first started Play Pits, this little girl was 13 years old, and she told me, now it was probably 2 years after Play Pits, she was like, I'm not gonna lie, when you first told me about Play Pits and like you was gonna make deodorant, I didn't think nobody was gonna buy that. And the reason is because it was so unpopular, right? Like, and I would do pop-ups, and everybody would have their shea butters and their hair products and their edge control and their, like clothing lines and all these things. And here it is, I'm the person that's in the corner like, hey, you want to buy some natural deodorant? And people like, no, like, that don't work. Natural deodorant don't work for kids. Kids don't need deodorant. I wear Dove, I wear Secret. Like, my people was not checking for me and my natural deodorant at first, but then I had to educate them. Like, okay, I know you wear that, but did you know that those parabens can affect your hormones? Did you know that this has been aluminum salts have been connected with cancer? Like, so then once I start educating, it's like, oh no, I did know that. Okay, I'll try it. And then they try it and they telling all their friends about it because they love it. And so that's really, word of mouth also has been my biggest marketing tool, because one thing about a Black mama, she gonna put her friends on to something that she love, you know? So she gonna be in that group chat and she like, girl, have you tried Play Pits? Get little Ray some Play Pits, because he was at the birthday party and he was funky, you know what I'm saying? And so that's what my Black mothers are going to do. And so that's why we have Queen. And so Queen is the natural deodorant for the moms. And actually, I'm not even going to say moms, because I have men that love Queen. But Queen is that, you know, I believe you could be a queen and a king of everything. And so we have Queen and we have King now. And as well as Sugar, Happy, and Sunshine is the kid scents.
I'm sorry, say it again. Sugar, Honey.
Happy and Sunshine.
Aww. I feel like I want to go off the site and go buy some Play Pits for my nieces and nephews in the family.
Chantel said, don't just feel like it. Get off the site and go get on the site.
Okay, once we finish the panel, I will make my purchase.
Yes. Playpits.com.
I got the website. I got it. Your marketing.
And then you could run to Target. We're in 365 Targets. We're also on Amazon. You can buy Sugar, Happy, and Sunshine there. Listen, we are now at a place where I feel confident because I was able to make this product accessible to everybody. You know, it's accessible to that person that not really technology savvy and don't want to go online and order things. So now go to Target. You know, that person that's like, I really don't want to go to the stores, so I prefer to shop online. You got Play Pits and you got Amazon and you got Target.com. So now we're accessible, and I'm working on, you know, becoming more accessible, because I believe everybody needs to have some Play Pits in their life.
So Ted, give me a minute. Let me get a question in. You know Chantel. So talk about, how did you do that through the pandemic? What was your pivot moment? You said they're now accessible, but there's probably was a time where you're like, how am I going to do this? So what was your movement pivot moment where you had to change your model? Like, you talked about it a lot. You didn't think you were going to sell to adults, but now you're selling to adults. So talk a little bit more about moments that you had to pivot in your business to get to where you are today.
Well, one of the pivots was when I first had to hire somebody. I was used to working with my family, but when you work with your kids, you know, you only gonna get but so much out your children, right? And so, you know, they was staying up with me. My daughter would be packing orders with me. My kids would help me put the product on the table. And so then it got to the point where it's like, okay, the kids got to go to school and I can't use them for labor. And it was free labor at the time, because it was like I couldn't afford to pay them either. So now, you know, I have to hire somebody. And so that was one pivot when I got support. And then the next thing was scaling and going about finding suppliers that could give me those price breaks, because originally I was buying ingredients on Amazon. I was buying ingredients on mass distributing sites. And so I had to figure out, like, how can I make enough money that I can buy a $600 drum of coconut oil? But before I got to the drum, I couldn't afford that. So I had to buy a bucket, you know, instead of buying a jar. So I went from buying jars to buckets to drums. And so, you know, I think that also played a role in it, was that scaling process and like what that looks like to be able to buy in larger quantities and be able to kind of improve your margins. So yeah, I would say some of those things definitely helped during the pandemic, but then with that came challenges of shipping and all of those type of things as well.
So that shipping scenario, you tell a little bit about getting an understanding of the ordering and how that you had some challenges with that.
So during the pandemic, while I was scaling and I was, you know, not buying from my regular suppliers, because now I found suppliers that could give me a better price, but you got to buy in more quantity. So I made a purchase of one of our ingredients and got the shipping, you know, notification that it was being delivered. I didn't know it was going to be delivered in an 18-wheeler, and I didn't know it was being delivered on a pallet, and I didn't know that the 18-wheeler wouldn't be able to put the pallet close to my garage. So this delivery man pulls up to my house, ring my doorbell, and I lived at the time in a townhouse, and the street was like a very narrow, like 2-lane little street, but it's an 18-wheeler, so it's taking up the whole street. So the guy's like, I open the door and he's like, "Hey, I got a delivery for you." So I'm like, "Okay." He's like, you got a forklift or something?" I'm like, "No, I ain't got no damn forklift. Like, this is my garage. Like, this stuff is in my garage." And he was like, "Okay, well, I'm gonna be able to get it off this truck, but I can't get the garage." Yeah, a pallet of 50-pound bags. So thankfully, amazing husband. And I said, "Babe, I need you to come out here and put this product in the garage." So when he comes down and he see this pie, "How am I doing this?" And I said, "I think you're going to have to do it bag by bag, 50-pound bags." Yeah, my husband was so fit 2020. He was cut. He was so cut because he was lugging 50-pound bags, 35-pound buckets all 2020 from the sidewalk to the garage all year, right? So like he had abs, he had arms, because I did not know, and I did not have the structure, a forklift, a loading dock. I didn't have all that. So that is when we got to the point where it was like, "You need a warehouse, girl. This is ridiculous." He agreed. Said after he was lugging them 50-pound bags, he agreed to me getting that warehouse.
That's it. That's what you needed. So enough of this. Let's get into that warehouse. That's an amazing story.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, you meant to order that much. It wasn't a mistake on the order. You meant to order
it wasn't. It was not a mistake, but I did not know the method in which, like, I thought, okay, you get a delivery from Amazon and they deliver a table. They gonna put that table at your door. You know what I'm saying? Like, and even if they gonna maybe help you put it in the house if you open the door with it right there, right? So that's what I thought. I thought I was getting that type of service. Nah, in that freight world, they like, "You want what? Oh no, I'm dropping this right here, and you figure it out." And so I meant to order the amount because I was getting that price break, but I didn't know what I was getting myself into.
Wow.
And it just goes back to, people thinking that you need to know everything and every aspect of everything. Sometimes you just gonna go with it and move the needle. And in that situation, there's gonna be some, you're gonna learn some stuff that way, but you won't do that again that way.
Yeah, and one of the things that I know Eric's going to ask us later in the day is, what's your key takeaway? And I love when you say you don't have to know everything, but you're going to outwork everybody. I think that's so key to just getting started, moving the needle, taking that challenge and adapting to it. So absolutely, that's going to be one of my takeaways. You don't have to know everything. Just move. Just keep moving.
And the thing is about not knowing. A lot of times people allow lack of knowledge or ignorance to paralyze them, right? Like, you think just because you don't know, like, "Oh, I don't know how to do that," so you dismiss it and you kind of like, "I ain't doing it." Like, I'm the person that I don't know how to do it, but watch this. I'm gonna figure it out. Like, I'm gonna do the research. I'm gonna talk to some people. I'm gonna figure it out, or you gonna put me in it, and I'm gonna be like, "All right, well, let me dig my way out this situation." And so, I think one of the things I live by is hard is not impossible. And so just because something is a challenge and it's really hard and it feels like impossible, it's always a way. You just got to be creative and your brain has to allow you to think out the box. You have to allow yourself not to think like everybody else, not to, move like everybody's moving, but you got to figure out, like, okay, if my goal is to get from A to B, and usually, people go this way, but I can't go that way because I don't got the money, I don't got the knowledge. How I'm gonna get there? Because that's really the mission. The mission is getting there. It's not about how you get there. Nobody cared. Don't nobody really care about how I mean, people care from a business standpoint, how I got to Target. But now that I'm in Target, it's like, oh, Target. But like, they have no clue of how I got here was so unorthodox and crazy. And like, I've put my family through so much. Like, I've sent so many people to work smelly. I have done some of the craziest things to get here, but I'm here. And so, you know, you got to be crazy enough to believe that you can get there, and then crazy enough to get there in some crazy ways.
Wow.
Love it. Love it. We're almost at the end of our session, our wonderful, informative, motivating, inspiring, innovative.
All of that, Mike.
I hope it was. I hope it was.
It's
really
nice to actually talk to you, because I've only seen you on the 30-minute hour. So I'm glad I got this opportunity to actually hear from you one-on-one. Yeah, but if people want to get in contact with you, what is the best way?
So you can go to playpits.com and purchase deodorant on playpits.com. We also have an email form right there. So if you want to shoot me an email, that's the best way to go through my customer service team. They'll be able to direct, the messages there. And then follow us on IG. We have a good time. If you're on Instagram, Playpits is not the place you're going to go and it's going to be like, buy my deodorant, hey, my deodorant. Like, no, we having a good time. We are parents and adults who are making fun of life and having a good time. We laughing about these smelly kids. We laughing about this life as a parent with these kids. So like, go to Play Pits. We have people who tell us, and it really warms my heart that our posts, like, they look forward to our posts every day, because we're doing something to kind of just uplift you, like keep it fun, keep it light. And so, yeah, those would be the best places to kind of, get in contact with me over at Play Pits.
I just followed you. I look forward to it. My son's 18, but I have, like I said, nieces and nephews coming down.
We got King for him.
If he's she's trying to take you through this whole life.
I'm giving opportunities to sell. That's what you got to say, Ted.
Yes. I got something for everybody. I got something for the grandfathers. I got something for the grandmas. So, never feel like, oh, my child is too old. Like, no, I got something for you.